The Hifiman Sundara is one of the most revered headphones, not just in the entry-level or mid-tier option, but in Hifiman's entire lineup as a whole. At its current retail price of $299 with occasional price drops here and there, it's really just hard to pass up on this headphone primarily due to its competitive sound quality overall. That's why I got excited when I learned about its closed version, and more so when Hifiman sent me a pair for evaluation. Does it sound like a Sundara at all? No? Is that a deal breaker? Not really if you ask me. But let's take a closer look at this headphone. The Sundara Closed is one of the few sealed headphone offerings from Hifiman, originally retailing for $400, but it's currently available at $229. The cups are made from this divisive beechwood, which is hand-assembled and unlike any other Hifiman offerings. The rest seems to have been inspired by the OG Sundara, which is not surprising considering they share the same name. The headphone is packaged inside their newish, eco-friendly box that doesn't have as much papers inside and one that come with a headphone stand. I kinda complained about it when I reviewed the HE1000 V3, but in the case of the Sundara Closed, it's perfect considering the price. The headphone comes with a 3.5mm cable and a 1/4-inch adapter. The cable seems fine for its application both in terms of length and the overall texture. As it's simply repurposing the frame of the Sundara, the disadvantages are inherited. The arms of the headband get scratched as soon as you make an adjustment, the tight clamp lacks the sideways movement from the cups, and the pads are a bit on the shallow side. Outside of that, I can't pinpoint anything else that I don't like. The cut of the wood on the cups seems substantial, and it's of decent quality. The suspension strap seems fine, and the headphone overall gives a utilitarian vibe despite the use of wood, which usually gives the product a delicate feel to it. Aesthetically, I'm kinda torn. I love wooden headphones, but I'm not sure I like the color of the cups and how the headphone looks as a whole. Maybe if the wood color is a bit darker and the headband design is more elegant, then I'd perhaps like it more. The headphone weighs 432 grams, which I was surprised by as I felt it to be lighter than that. If you're coming from significantly lighter headphones, do keep in mind it may be slightly uncomfortable until you get used to it. Speaking of comfort, I would say it's average. The snug fit is not for everyone. The shallow pads kind of irate my ears after some time, and it's overall not a breathable headphone to wear if you don't have air conditioning or you are in a warm place. I unfortunately don't have the original Sundara to compare it side by side, but I always felt that headphone was noticeably more comfortable. Passive noise isolation, on the other hand, is quite decent. You're not going to mistake it for a noise-canceling headphone, but it is going to cancel out some noise being a sealed headphone. The lower frequency noises could creep in, but if you're using it in an office environment that's not obnoxiously loud, it should be more than fine. It was also perfect for home use where I can focus enough on my chores but still hear my wife when she called me for something important. I even took this on a long bus trip and I felt it did more than enough. Now on to its sonics. Does it sound like the original Sundara? As I said, no, mainly because the frequency response is quite a bit different, so you easily notice that right out of the gate. The Sundara Closed version appears to be a mid-forward headphone with vocals that sound prominently, especially male vocals. It actually reminds me of old wooden headphones from Audio-Technica, the ESW9 for example, where there is that mid-range gooiness that is present. It's warm and pleasing, but also overbearing and honky depending on the track. It also feels a bit closed in due to the forward tuning. Treble is surprisingly inoffensive, but it does lack a bit of that usual sparkle and zing that I've grown accustomed to with Hifiman headphones. The bass extension seems a bit better than the Sundara Open, but lacks dynamics relative to it. I think it benefits from a bass shelf, so I'd recommend maybe boosting the sub-bass a bit. As for the soundstage, I didn't feel I was listening to an open headphone, but I'd say the sense of image, while small, is quite decent. It doesn't have too congested presentation that I usually associate with wireless headphones or cheaper sealed headphone. The reason I mention that is because Hifiman touts this as a headphone having a huge soundstage, but I just don't see it that way. Maybe because I'm comparing it mostly with open headphones, which makes the comparison moot. And yeah, the forward tuning I think is detrimental to the overall sense of space as well. The Sundara Closed sounds pretty articulate and is good at imparting a sense of speed and detail to the music, which I would say is helped by the fact that it's a planar magnetic headphone. While dynamics is on the softer side of things, I would not call it blunted or dead sounding like I would a monitoring headphone, for example. The subjective part of its sound is what I feel has very close resemblance to the original Sundara Open, and I would think aside from some small EQ tweaks, it sounds fine from particularly any source, which is a big benefit. The Sundara Closed is playable off a portable device. Straight from my laptop, it sounded almost identical to having it amplified. Playing it from an old LG G8 device, it produced more than enough volume without making it limp sounding, unlike the OG Sundara or even the cheaper HE400 SE. So it should be good with whatever you have. I also tried it with the Luxman P1U and Monoprice THX887, and they didn't sound too different from each other. I think that's a great news because I imagine most of the folks who will be buying this headphone are likely just getting started in the hobby or want to try out Hifiman headphones. In terms of EQ, I would say it's a must, and I highly suggest you do it. The tuning is a bit odd, and I'm not sure if it's partly due to cup resonances or being a close headphone. No need for surgical precision though. I would just adjust the lower mid to upper mid balance, add a bit of bass shelf, and you should be set. I would probably even brighten it up if you're used to the typical high frequency signature of Hifiman headphones. If you're looking for a decent sounding home listening closed back headphone for under $250, I think the Sundara Closed is worth a look. There aren't too many offerings for the $200 to $300 price range that is similar to what this headphone is catering for. You have your usual studio monitoring options, aka Audio-Technica M50X, M70X, which I think is meh in comparison. Then you have a bunch of noise-canceling wireless headphones, which really is for a different application, and not so much in the direction of a full-size home listening sealed headphone with decent passive noise isolation that's not hard to drive or picky with pairing. The other similar options that I could think of are the Aeons from DCA and the Celesty from Focal, both of which are closer to $1,000 than $100. Don't get me wrong, the Sundara Closed is far from a perfect sealed headphone. The stock tuning leaves a bit to be desired, and I thought if it sounded like the Open Sundara, Hifiman would have hit it out of the park. But with a little bit of EQ love, the Sundara Closed can become your go-to home headphone that sounds good enough for practical purposes and can take a beating as well. So go ahead to a nearest store and give it a try. This unit is once again sent by Hifiman and has been evaluated for 3 weeks before making this review. Just like any other pair, my opinion is not influenced by them in any way, shape, or form, and they didn't get any editorial influence on the outcome of my evaluation. Go check out the Hifiman Sundara Closed Back Headphone on hifiman.com. That's about it for this review. Thumbs up the video if you like it, subscribe for more headphone.ph video reviews, and visit headphone.ph for the text version of this review. I'll see you guys next time.